Welcome to the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show. Here's your host, Brien Hanley.
Hey, everybody, what's going on? This is your man, Big B, Brien Hanley, and welcome to the Big 12 Insiders. Whoo, crazy weekend as far as college athletics. A lot going on. Basketball is starting to get into full swing, especially in the Big 12. But today, man, I'm going to talk to you guys about the transfer portal. I know we keep talking about it. We bring it up, and there's new things that happen with this transfer portal every single day. And I just think it's really important, again, to talk about it and what's going on, man. It's insane. So I'm going to bring you my aspect because I don't know if I've really just said to you guys what I really feel as a former football player. Now, it was many moons ago, but as a former football player, what I actually think of the transfer portal. So I'm going to break that down to you along with the craziness that happens to go on why people shouldn't say the old internet troll tagline, the transfer portal is ruining college football. No, it's not. Does it need rules? Yes, but it's not ruining anything. So we'll get to all of that. Appreciate all your support, man. So continue to like, follow, subscribe if you haven't already, and remember to continue to get in those comments and hit that notification bell so you know exactly when Big 12 Insiders content comes out. So we appreciate all that. Let's get into it. First things first, I love the transfer portal. I think it is outstanding. I think giving college kids an opportunity, and I call them kids because I'm almost 50 years old, so I'm going to call kids of that age kids. It just is what it is. Deal with it. But I think giving college kids those kind of opportunities, those choices, options, whatever you want to call it, I think that's a good thing. I absolutely believe it's a good thing. It's something that I wasn't afforded when I was playing, and I think it's something that probably could have done me and some other people some good just to have options. Not saying I would have transferred or went here or went there or anything, but just to have options. You know, life is about options, choices, and consequences, you know, and the one thing about the transfer portal that I don't like, there's no consequences. And the last time I checked, going to college is supposed to be about growing up. It's supposed to be, now, obviously, it's about education, but it's supposed to be about being on your own, figuring things out for yourself, you know, life lessons that you can learn in college. I learned a lot of them, but they've taken the consequences part out of the transfer portal. And let me tell you what I mean by that is that they just let you do anything willy-nilly and because there's no rules. Because I love the transfer portal doesn't mean I don't think it needs to be tweaked. I mean, there's got to be some rules here with this thing. There's got to be some consequences. You know, you can't just say, you know what, I'm going to XYZ University my freshman year, another one my sophomore, another one my junior, another one my senior year. We can't allow that. We cannot allow that. You know, that just can't be the case. Now, there'll be some pushback where people say, well, why not, Big B? Why? I mean, if transfer portal, you should be able to transfer as many times as you want. Just because something is a good idea doesn't mean that there can't be rules. You know, there's certain people that hate, you know, regulation in this country. And trust me, I don't think there should be regulation on everything. However, that doesn't mean because you don't like regulation that you don't think that there should be some. You know, you can't, for instance, I like to drive my car fast. That doesn't mean there shouldn't be a speed limit. I mean, I'm just talking, just making things as simple as possible. You know, it's that kind of stuff. There's got to be some rules and regulations with this thing. You can't let people transfer 4 and 5 times. I've said it all along, and this is basically my staunch look. You give them 2 transfers. Transfer once, hey, it doesn't work out. You want to transfer again? Okay, great. But that's all you get. By the way, you only get 5 years to play. Period. End of story. I don't care if you get hurt every single year you play football. Maybe you should listen to your body if that's the case. Your body's telling you football's not for you. You keep getting hurt. This is not your thing. 5 years to play, 2 transfers. I don't want to hear about grad transfer or anything like that. Doesn't matter. Don't care. 2, period, end of story. Again, some consequences. Make some choices. If the choice doesn't work out, you can go somewhere else. You go there, and you know what? Didn't really work out here. You get another chance. That's it. There's going to be some of you that think, no, you only get one. I'm not going to fight you on that. Now, I don't think people should have to sit out. No, you shouldn't have to sit out. But as far as the transfer, I say 2. You only get 5 years. I don't want to hear about grad transfers. I don't want to hear about any of that nonsense because it is nonsense. I'm sorry that guys get hurt. But football is a sport. Basketball is sports in general. Your body technically isn't built to do those things. So when you do them, you're going to get hurt. I'm sorry. I mean, it is what it is. I'm sorry. But that doesn't mean you should be able to play 6, 7, 8, 9 years of college athletics. Give me a break. So, yes, the transfer portal is a great thing, but it needs some tweaking. Who's going to do the tweaking? I don't know. I thought the NCAA would have a backbone, but it turns out they have the spine of a jellyfish. So it kind of is what it is when it comes to that. But that's my thoughts first off on the transfer portal. 1, I think it's a great idea. 2, there's got to be some legislation, and it has to start coming now. If the presidents of the university got together and didn't have their head up, you know what, we could get some legislation. But the problem is they won't come together because all they're looking for is, how can we get the advantage? How can we get the advantage? So it is what it is. Greed and power, those things never go together, but they get convoluted together. And when they do, people won't work together. But that's the problem right now. We can't get everybody to agree on what's best. It shouldn't be that difficult. But again, when you're interested in only yourself and not looking at the greater good for everybody, this is what you get. So there's no legislation, which stinks. Now, over the weekend, we had absolute chaos in the transfer portal. Now, again, I'm going to butcher this name because I don't know how to pronounce it. I apologize in advance. I mean, absolutely no disrespect. But there's a kid out of Hawaii. Flipped first of all, his name, Jaron Koe Sagapaludi. I apologize. But he flipped his recruitment on signing day from Cal to Oregon. You know what? Kids change their minds all the time. It is what it is. So then he enrolls at Oregon. He graduates early, goes through Rose Bowl prep, practices, and then decides, you know what? I'm getting in the transfer portal, and I'm going to end up going to Cal after all. Now, some people will say, well, come on, Big B, he should be able to transfer. No. Again, back to part of the regulation. If you sign somewhere, you got to stay a year. You got to stay for at least a semester. You got to stay for a semester. There is no, hey, you know what? I signed, but 2 weeks later, I don't want to go. I'm going to go somewhere else. No. Again, part of consequences. You made the decision. I get it that you don't like the decision that you made. But part of life is dealing with consequences, either good or bad. Everything that you do has a consequence. Everything that we do has a consequence, a good one or a bad one. And you got to decipher which is going to be good and which is going to be bad. It is what it is. You make a decision, doesn't work out. You got to live with that until you can get out. And it shouldn't just be whenever the hell I want to. That's where the problem comes in. Now, I don't fault this kid. I don't fault them at all. And you know why I don't fault them? It's for this reason. Now, this is going to bring up a lot of conversation in the comments, and I hope it does. Because we hold kids to these standards that we won't hold adults to, that we refuse to hold adults to. And I think it's for one reason and one reason only. It's jealousy. And jealousy is because the people that get in the comments that want to hold these kids to these standards can't do what they can do, could never do what they could do. Now, you might say, well, Big B, you play college football, so you're always on their side. You're damn right. I am, because I've seen it. And that's why I have that opinion, is because you want to hold kids to a certain standard that you want to hold adults to. Let me give you an example. Tony Bennett quit 3 weeks before the season started at Virginia. He didn't like transfer portal, NIL. He didn't like any of that. So what Tony Bennett did was he got a bunch of kids to come to his school. He recruited them to come to his school. Transfer portal, NIL, whatever it was. And 3 weeks before the season started, he said, you know what? I've had enough of this. I'm done. Nobody batted an eye. Nobody said, oh, he quit on his team. Nobody said he quit on his university. Nobody said he quit on the kids. He broke promises. Nobody said anything. Yeah, I understand why he left. Man, this transfer portal and NIL is out of control. It's just totally out of control. Good for him. Way to get out of there. Go retire. That's all you heard. Kid does the same thing, middle of the season of a football season. Says, you know what? This isn't working out the way that I thought it was. I'm going to opt out and get into the transfer portal, use a red shirt year, and transfer. Or a kid, you know what? I'm going to transfer. I'm opting out. I'm not going to play in the bowl game. I'm done. I need to go find another school. All you hear from fans, quit on his team. He's a quitter. He doesn't want to hold responsibility. Whatever happened to loyalty? That's all you hear. And this is universal from every fan base. That's all you hear about the kid. Just a quitter. No loyalty. That's all. And what are we teaching here? Well, Tony Bennett was a guy. He's a grown adult. No loyalty there. He didn't have any loyalty to the kids or the university. He just quit. But nobody says anything. That's the double standard that I'm talking about. That's why I love the transfer portal so much, is because it finally gives kids options. Hell, Jim Larinaga, what were they, 9 games or 12 games into the season, decides, we're not going to be any good. I thought we were going to be better. I'm retiring. Huh? Now, and he came out and said, you know what? We went to the Final Four. I thought we were going to have a really good team. I had 8 guys right after that said, I'm transferring, I'm leaving. Then if that was the case and you didn't like it, then you should have just quit right then. But instead, you stay another 18 months. Again, not only you got kids to come to your program, kids transferring in, you recruit kids, you start the season, you're into the season, and then all of a sudden you quit. You haven't heard anybody say that Jim Larinaga quit on his team. You haven't heard anybody say that he quit on his kids, on the university, on the fan base. You haven't heard any of that. All you've heard was, good for you, coach. Go retire. Is it fair? And I'm just asking why we won't hold these coaches to the same standards. Why we won't. Now, somebody might bring up, well, Jay Wright, he got out for those same reasons, or Mike Krzyzewski, or even Nick Saban. They didn't quit in the middle of the season. They didn't recruit guys and then 3 weeks before the season say, yeah, I'm done. They didn't do that. That's the difference. That is the difference. And for people to hold kids hostage like that is ridiculous. And I don't understand why you do it. And I can point the finger and say why you do it, because number one, I don't. And we've had podcasts on here, on this channel, where the comments are filled with people doing the exact same thing that I'm talking about. And I just don't understand that. I don't understand why we hold kids to such a standard. Well, I take that back. I do understand. I said it earlier. It's jealousy. You hold kids to these standards that we will not hold adults to. And it's unfair and it's ridiculous. Does the transfer portal need to have rules? 100%. It's got to have rules. Got to have rules. Is it off the rails? 1,000% it's off the rails. I mean, you've got guys transferring 2 and 3 times. For instance, there's going to be a guy, now I shouldn't say one, there's going to be several kids in football. They transferred at the semester. They're going to go through spring ball. They're going to get into the transfer portal again. That is going to happen. There should be no way that something like that should be allowed to happen. No way. None. But it's the Wild Wild West out there now. Nothing that can hold you. I mean, again, I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again, and I'll continue to say it. Just because you like something doesn't mean that you can't have rules. Just because you don't like a ton of regulation doesn't mean that there shouldn't be any regulation. You know I simplified it when I said I like to drive my car fast, but that doesn't mean that there shouldn't be a speed limit. I 100% agree with that. I think that's the truth. And it's the same thing with this. The transfer portal is a great idea. Regardless of what some people believe, it's a great idea. It gives kids options. Number one, we've seen it in these college football playoffs. It's leveling the playing field. Now, you can say NIL has a lot to do with that too, but transfer portal goes right along with it. It's leveling the playing field. It's giving other kids opportunities that maybe they didn't have. It's saying, I don't want to sit on the bench for 3 or 4 years. I want to go play right now. Now, the comment pushback on that is nobody wants to earn it. Everybody wants to have things given to them. They don't want to earn playing time. Okay. There's some truth to that. I'm not going to fight you and push back on that because, I get that. Hey, you go to a program. There are some people that are older, better than you are. Maybe your body's not fully developed, and you got to sit for a year or two until you are ready to play. I get that. Some kids don't want to do that. But what we're starting to see now from some of these programs is that kids are going down a level to go play. Maybe they go to a TCU, an Arkansas, an Oklahoma State, whatever, and it doesn't work out initially. And then they go down a level. Okay, I'm ready to play. And maybe they come back, maybe they don't. And I think that's part of a lot of this stuff is that a lot of schools, when they recruit guys, they're not Power 4 football players. Everybody that you recruit, guess what? They're not going to work out. They're not capable of playing at that level. And that's just the case. Some guys go down and understand it. Other guys take chances on guys, and it still doesn't work out. But I'm not going to push back on you if you say that guys, they have no commitment. They don't want to earn it. But I don't think that's more of a home or kind of a, I don't know. That's just how things are, how kids are today. And maybe that's how they're being raised. Maybe it's a societal thing. Who the hell knows? I'm not here to tell somebody how to raise their kid or what they should do. That's not what I'm doing. But I think it's more of a society thing than it is a college football or college basketball or college athletics thing. So I'll let that be. But you're probably right with some of these. They don't want to they don't want to earn it. They want things given to them. Fine. But that doesn't have anything to do with college athletics. It's just a byproduct because that's how people are these days. Just like they were previously, people worked hard and not that kids don't work hard now because they do, but they weren't transferring because they didn't have the options. But you're going to tell me that in 1970 to 1980, 90, 2000, whatever, before the transfer portal was allowed, are you trying to tell me that none of those kids would have transferred, that because things were different back then, they would have just stayed if they had the options that they have today? Stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it. They absolutely would have. They absolutely would have. It's just like you talked about your kid. You discipline your kid as a toddler. They're going to do what they can get away with until they're told not to do it. Same thing here. They're going to take advantage of every opportunity that they have until they can't. Well, right now, they can't. And I applaud it. I think there needs to be regulation. So I don't, like I said, I don't necessarily like the people transferring 3, 4, 5 times. I don't like people playing 6, 7, 8, 9 years. It's absolutely insane. But to take it all away, or number one, to say that it's ruining college football is absolutely ridiculous. Or college athletics is absolutely ridiculous. No, it's not. Stadiums are still full. Arenas are still full. People still watching record numbers. I'm going out to Vegas for March Madness this year. It'll be packed. It'll be packed. I mean, and you can say, well, that's for the betting. Well, what are they betting on? College basketball, man. They're still going to watch. They're still going to do it all. I go, so it's not ruining it. You just don't like the change, which I totally understand, but doesn't mean it's going anywhere. They just need to tweak it. So I apologize. I know I was ranting today, but I felt it was important to let you guys know my real side of the transfer portal, and not try to be on the fence and sugarcoat stuff like that. I think that's tacky when people do that. Either you agree or you disagree with me, and I want to give you guys the opportunity to do either one of those. I think that's fair. I can't be on this channel playing the fence and all that kind of stuff. And it's not a like or dislike me, or maybe it is. I don't know. But, hey, this is what Big B thinks. And either I agree with it or I don't. He's calling us jealous because we're getting on these kids. I totally disagree with him. Or, you know what? He's probably got some merit to it that people are a little bit jealous. That's why they hold kids accountable for stuff that they won't hold adults doing the exact same thing. So that's all I got for you today, man. I appreciate everybody being in here as always. Like I said, thank you guys for all the support that you guys have given us. Get into a little bit of basketball tomorrow on the Big 12. We got some really good teams. The conference may not be as good as what we thought, or is it just more parity within the conference? We'll see. Conference schedule is just really getting going. Non-conference, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Big 12 is still really going to be good when it comes to the tournament. As far as represented in the tournament, it's going to be a good conference. It's going to be good to watch it and watch it all unfold here in the next 2 months. So I appreciate all the support. Thank you guys, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you for watching the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show. This has been a Spirit Street production.